Thank you for continuing your studies into BSB40507, Certificate 4 into Project Management. I'm Trudy Robinson. This session will cover work breakdown structures, the objectives of which from this presentation are for you to understand and apply your knowledge of work breakdown structure principles into the 4 basic life cycle stages of a project. It's essential that you will understand the tools that you could or will use during a project management exercise in developing your own work breakdown structures. So, what is a work breakdown structure? In simple terms, a work breakdown structure is taking the objectives of a project and breaking them down into tasks and subtasks. Most people are familiar with a work breakdown structure being presented in a diagrammatical form. In this very simplistic work breakdown structure relating to the building of a swimming pool, some of the objectives would be to include the engineering to specification, meeting regulations, undertaking operational works, and the execution of aesthetics and equipment. So looking at that execution, we have detailed here landscaping, tiling, and equipment. And of course we would then break them down into a lot of the tasks that had to be done, and therefore there may be subtasks underneath that. So you may ask why we're covering a work breakdown structure in the HR component of a project management certification. Well, basically the National Training Information Service say that we must. You will need to understand the principles of a work breakdown structure in your assessment material. Also, a work breakdown structure helps identify what is going to happen and therefore assists in the clarification of the resources that will be required and the stakeholders that will be involved in the project. These resources and stakeholders will be covered in a separate presentation. Generally, it makes sense for the work breakdown structure to follow the principles or to follow the order of the project from start to finish. The general project life cycle is the concept, followed by the design, the implementation, and the finalization. These will be covered in far more detail in further presentations. However, when you start to develop your work breakdown structure, it makes sense and it will make it a far easier work breakdown structure to be able to follow and manage throughout the life cycle of the project if you include the tasks in this order. What some people do is they sit down with a particular team, say for example engineering, and they will write all the tasks that engineering need to be able to undertake to finish the project. This helps clarify what needs to be done, but it makes it more difficult to be able to see the logical sequence and order. In the real world, we don't look at work breakdown structures in a diagrammatical form. This is usually managed in a project management software package with a Gantt chart, or might be Excel, or it could be any other sort of software package which assists in the management of projects. We'll cover some of the use of these tools in a separate session. So, in summary, a work breakdown structure is the hierarchical breakdown of work into components, starting off with a high-level activity or objectives, breaking down into tasks and then subtasks. The accumulation of all the subtasks, once that work is complete, the objectives should be met and finalized. The work breakdown structure leads to teams or individuals being allocated to tasks. Once we know what has to be done, we can now allocate the who. The design of the work breakdown structure should align with the basic principles of the project process rather than everything each team must do being accumulated together. For your own use, it's useful to develop a consistent tool which you use to develop the work breakdown structure. That may sound daunting or challenging, but it's actually quite simple. It's simply developing a tool that you will understand and roll out whenever you need to do it, whether you have sophisticated project management software available to you or not. So for your assessment criteria, it will be necessary for you to have a folder to contain the printed copies of your source tools that will be completed for a project of your choosing. You'll also need to have a USB or similar memory capturing device which will allow you to create an electronic directory of the templates and tools that you will continue to use in your project management activities. This is necessary because one of the National Training Information Services requirements continually through all the subjects of the Certificate 4 is referring to multiple projects. Students to apply their documentation to multiple projects. It will be applied to one project. Box of templates and resources that you can realistically use in your future projects. In this way, we can say that your understanding applies to multiple projects. Thank you for your time, and we will see you in the next presentation.